Welcome to the Daybreak with Jeff Slakey podcast. I'm so happy you found us. Please subscribe, rate, review, and share this with your circle of influence. It's a collection of the interviews, news, and conversation during Daybreak with Jeff Slakey on I-Fiber One News Radio, KMAS, weekdays from 6 to 9.
Well, good morning, everybody. Jeff Slakey and Spencer Hughes here on the Daybreak Show. Good morning, Spencer. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. How's your Thursday morning going?
Thursday, for sure, going good. Yesterday was Kaiser's last Zoom class for kindergarten, so he is essentially done with the school year. He'll be a first grader coming up.
Wow.
Exciting, emotional time, and just what a bizarre end of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. Boy, I saw his pictures. He looks so happy, and it's got to be a relief for everyone just because it was such an ordeal for all the teachers, all the students, all the parents, but it was also kind of cool, too, to be able to have that time with Kaiser, I'm sure, at home and see him flourish in kindergarten and now get ready for first grade. That's exciting.
It was cool to eavesdrop in on his classes and hear him talking with the teacher and the other classmates and answering questions, because you don't normally get to see that side of things. But yeah, there were struggles, but I think this will be something that all the kids moving forward will remember, and especially those seniors. Oh, a reminder, next week is the Shelton High School graduation. It's on Tuesday.
Oh, yes.
So there's going to be a lot of things going on around the high school, so just be advised there's going to be a lot of traffic, lots of folks celebrating the seniors of 2020. Today in the news, we got the latest COVID numbers for you for Mason County, information on the reduction in projected state revenue as well.
And I'll have the weather for you today. It's going to be beautiful and pushing 80 today. We'll have an update from Dave Windom and Casey Salisbury on the Phase 3 application and an update with Mason Transit. Mason County has 41 total confirmed cases of COVID-19. 2 cases are active, with 1 COVID-19 related death from Mason County. Mason County currently in Phase 2, but has applied to move to Phase 3 this week. And the application is pending approval at Washington State Department of Health, DOH. Mason County will move to Phase 3 not earlier than June 22nd or 48 hours after DOH approves the application.
Yeah, we'll have a little bit more on that from Dave Windom, Health Director for Mason County, in just a little bit. Washington State is facing a reduction in projected state revenues of about $8.8 billion over the next 3 years due to the economic impacts of COVID-19. New numbers released yesterday, higher than the $7 billion predicted during the unofficial forecast that was prepared at the end of April. Lawmakers are expected to be called into a special session by the governor sometime this summer. Governor Inslee has also ordered cabinet agencies to cancel a scheduled 3% raise for agency directors and exempt employees who earn more than $53,000 a year, affecting nearly 5,600 employees. Also, Inslee said starting no later than June 28th, more than 40,000 state employees will be required to take 1 furlough day per week through July 25th. And state Senate Republicans say this nearly $9 billion chasm in the state budget does require this special legislative session now, and Tracy Ellis has the latest.
Republican Senate Budget Leader John Braun says about $1 billion of new spending is set to go into effect on July 1st. He says the governor needs to call a special session for this month so legislators can stop the new expenditures.
We already have a significant challenge in front of us. Why would we do anything to make that harder? We should get in, reduce the planned spending scheduled for July 1, and then naturally there will be other things we have to do. But that puts us on a much better footing as we move forward.
Democrats are indicating they want to put off a special session until later this year to see if Congress gives the state money. Braun says that's a gamble they should not take.
Hope is not a plan. Hoping that the feds basically print more money and send it to us is not a plan for taking on a very real problem.
Washington's chief economist estimates a $9 billion loss in revenue over the next 3 years. I'm Tracy Ellis.
Thank you, Tracy. Washington health officials removed 7 deaths from the state's official COVID-19 mortality count, including 3 homicides. In a statement, the Department of Health said it had been counting as coronavirus deaths all people who died and tested positive for the disease. Authorities say they now have removed deaths from the count that weren't caused specifically by COVID-19. These deaths included 3 homicides, 2 suicides, and 2 overdoses. Going forward, authorities say they will attempt to be more specific about whether a death was caused by the coronavirus or whether a person died of other causes. With the revisions, the state now reports that at least 1,226 people have died from COVID-19.
The other thing on this, Spencer, if you remember or doing a lot of the reading, people are now remembering massive sicknesses that they had in late November, early December.
Yes.
I talked to somebody the other day, and they were mentioning like a sorority somewhere. Their daughter or cousin or niece or somebody was in a sorority, and in December, the whole house got hit with some sickness. Nobody knew what it was. Some of the girls in there had been traveling around the world doing things during the winter break, and they come back, and there was a lot of sickness all through that house. And I don't know if we're ever going to be able to test for those types of things, like if you had it before March or whatever. But
yeah, I wonder how far back that goes.
Details. Oh yeah, no. I mean, it's got to be. I mean, I know people in town that posted during winter. Oh my God, I'm the sickest I've been in forever. I don't think it's the flu, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people just assumed it was the flu and didn't really make much more of it. They just kind of stayed home and called in sick and rested.
Key senators say the Federal Aviation Administration is stonewalling their attempt to get documents that might explain how the agency approved the Boeing 737 MAX, which remains grounded more than a year after 2 deadly crashes. Senate Commerce Committee Chairman Roger Wicker, Republican from Mississippi, said Wednesday the FAA has failed to respond to more than half of his committee's requests for documents. Wicker says it's hard to believe the FAA isn't deliberately keeping Congress in the dark. The administrator for the FAA is Stephen Dixon and promises to work harder to cooperate with Congress. The MAX has been grounded since March of 2017 after that second crash. Again, today on the show, Dave Windom, Casey Salisbury talking on the Phase 3 application. We'll have an update with Mason Transit as well. A couple days left here for the rest of the senior shout-out, so that's going to go through the end of the month. And then after that, Spencer, we're going to kick off a great contest. Eric Anisco, we know Eric Anisco from the Bayshore, Texaco, and the Hillcrest Shell, also city council member. He got in touch with me the other day and said, Jeff, I love the Strip Steakhouse, and those guys over there do such a great job. I, with my own money, purchased a bunch of gift cards for the Strip. I want you to take these gift cards and then give them out to everybody.
Wow.
25 of them. So
that's pretty cool. I ended up with 6. I'm just kidding.
Well, that's because you got so many people in your house calling in all the time. So starting around the 1st of July, and we'll figure this out because there's Independence Day and all that stuff.
Sure.
But right around the 1st of the month, we're going to be rolling out another contest. Another reason to know the listener line, 426-1030, and press 0, because that's how you're going to be able to get in on this, as we're going to have a lot of great gift cards to the Strip for a fun contest, thanks to Eric Anisco, starting Wednesday, July 1st. So all that, more great stuff coming up today on Daybreak.
From the iFiber One News Radio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
Good morning, everybody. Jeff Slakey, Spencer Hughes here on the Daybreak Show. On the phone line, Mason County Sheriff Casey Salisbury. Also, Dave Windom, who has been navigating us through the coronavirus crisis, the Public Health Department. Morning, guys.
Morning.
So exciting news as the county is getting ready to submit to the state Phase 3 application. Is that right, Dave?
Well, actually, we submitted it yesterday. So it's important for people to know we're not in Phase 3, but we have applied to go to Phase 3.
Okay. And the process, you presented this to the Board of County Commissioners. They looked over your numbers, and all of you agreed that, yep, we should be right in line. Now that heads to the state's health department. And then how is this going to be different than the last time you first submitted to go to Phase 2?
So last time, we didn't hear anything from DOH really for several days. This time I heard back from DOH right off the bat. So last night we started getting some feedback on our plan and just asking a lot more questions. They're being a little more detailed in the review of the plan. So a lot of what they're looking for is demographics. Do we understand, who and what ages, sexes, that kind of stuff. So we're going through that process with them now. We'll be answering some more questions for them.
When it comes to the major changes between phase 2 and phase 3 for businesses like a restaurant, is this where we go from 25 to 50% capacity, or is it an even larger number or smaller number?
So we're going from 50% capacity to restaurants to 75%.
Wow.
And then on groups will be available up to 50 people. That's non-religious. So the churches have their own set of rules that have come out for phase 3. Actually, it came out in phase 2. For phase 3, there isn't going to be the same kind of guidance that's coming out from the state like they did in phase 2. So phase 2 had a long list of very specific industry requirements to get to make standards. In phase 3, all we have so far is sporting events is essentially it. So what they've decided to do, instead of doing a very industry-specific guidance, we have the Safe Start Washington phased reopening plan that businesses can go to. So if they don't fall under a specific industry, they go look up this plan. It's a fill-in-the-blank plan for any business that doesn't fit these other requirements. And it's something they need to have on hand and explains everything they need to do to be compliant with phase 3 requirements. What's going on with face coverings in Mason County? I see there are businesses that have signs out front stipulating masks need to be worn in the business. Is this a mandate for the businesses from either the state or the county health departments, or is this a business by business, their comfortability? So it is business by business, but it is, our health officer did come out with a strong recommendation for all businesses to require people to wear masks. I mean, he's asking for anyone who's out in public to please wear a mask. The state did require, though, in the requirements for businesses to reopen, that employees wear masks when they can't meet the social distancing requirements, or they're not working in cubicles by themselves or working in offices by themselves. Are you concerned at all about the uptick in cases across the state and the country? Is this because of more tests that are coming out, or are these the results of the first part of phase 2 reopening? And I'm not necessarily talking about Mason County in particular, but once we saw areas that opened back up, the gatherings came, and we're starting to see reports of pockets, hotspots that are starting to bubble up. Well, we asked that question last week of Seattle, Tacoma, and those areas that had large demonstrations to track what may have come from those large demonstrations and protests and see if we had an uptick there. And we're just not seeing that yet, but it might be a little bit early for that data to come through. Okay. The two in Shelton, we're right around the 2-week mark from some of those peaceful protests in Shelton, too. So interesting to see how that works. What's the timeline on a possible approval for phase 3? So the way we wrote the phase 3 approval was the county will go to phase 3 not earlier than next Monday, which is the 22nd, or 48 hours after DOH approves. So if DOH does not approve it this weekend, we wouldn't be going live on the 22nd. We would go live 48 hours after DOH approves. Okay. And when it comes to phase 4, I guess would be the final phase there. That's basically fully reopened with the protections and things like that? Yes, and the last word I got from the Secretary of Health is to not expect that probably this year. So it's not going to be something that 3 weeks later we're going to be applying for phase 4. We have nothing on the horizon right now that leads us to phase 4. What are those types of things? Are these like the major sporting events or things like that? Right. So gatherings of like 250 people or more, the big sporting events, think the big stadiums, colleges, professional ball, that kind of stuff. What are some of the other things, and I know you got to go here, we'll let you go just after this. What are some of the other things that the health department in Mason County is doing to provide either information to businesses? I know you guys are working close with the EDC, and they've got a lot of documentation for businesses and checklists that they should go through. But on an individual person-to-person basis, the resources on the website for the county have more detailed information on how individuals can continue to protect themselves and their family?
Right. So you go to our county website, and bright red right on the front page of our county website is our COVID-19 tab. Just click on that, and it can take you to any number of resources we have for folks. It gets updated all the time. The other thing you can do is just go to Washington COVID, and that will take you to the state site, and lots of stuff there, especially for businesses.
Very good. Well, Dave Windom, Casey Salisbury, good to talk with you guys this morning, and encouraging news as we are looking for that answer from the State Department of Health on Mason County and Phase 3. You guys have a good one, and we'll check in before too long.
Great talking with you, Jeff.
Thanks, guys.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFiber One News Radio.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Jeff Slakey and Spencer Hughes on the Daybreak Show. On the phone line, couple great folks from Mason Transit Authority. Danette Brannin is here. Also, Mike Riggenberg, the operations manager. Good morning, Danette. Good morning, Mike. How you doing?
Great. Good morning.
Mike, let's start with you as we got some news releases out from Mason Transit on the great news of an increase in service. You know, you guys had to take some constrictions here as lots of ridership was down, but as we're moving from Phase 2 and potentially next week into Phase 3 in Mason County, we're seeing more folks needing to ride the buses, and so the opportunity and the drivers are coming back too. Is that right?
That is right. We've got almost all of our drivers back, and we appreciate them all coming back.
What are Are all the routes back to normal service, or where are we at with this?
We basically doubled our service from 1 June until 15 June. We basically doubled our service. We don't have all the routes back yet, but we did bring back about 10 trips to Olympia. We've got 13 zipper routes inside of Shelton right now coming back. We've got another couple trips going back to Bremerton. So we're trying to get more and more of the commuters back to work right now. It's kind of our big focus, is trying to get folks back to work like we are.
So one thing that, as I'm looking at this, and at the radio station, you know, we're analyzing every aspect of how we do things. And I would imagine this too is a time where you guys can go back and look at the data and understand, well, even when we were fully operational, this route at this time was very low ridership. Are you guys going and having these conversations about ways to enhance the service on the routes that are more heavily used than others?
I can answer that. Yes, we are. That is one of the things we've been working on through this whole change of first reducing our service, and now as we bring things back, we are looking at what was productive, what wasn't productive, and making those changes, and again, trying to find what does our community need in regards to bus transportation. And so it's a great opportunity. We've looked at this as a time to refocus our priorities, as well as find out what is working and what isn't working. We're able to try things that maybe normally we would not have been able to so easily. Like we can for the last couple of weeks, we've had just a route to Melchi once the casino reopened.
Right.
So we're finding that successful. So we're looking at new opportunities through this as well.
Talk to me a little bit about some of the ways that you guys are protecting the drivers. They are the ones that are sitting there in the seat for multiple hours on a shift, interacting with the public. I know people are entering from the back doors of the bus, but what else is available? And do you have any restrictions on ridership when it comes to face coverings?
Yeah, right now we're asking all of our passengers to wear masks to protect themselves and to protect our drivers. Our drivers are also wearing masks. The buses get deep cleaned every night, and in between routes, the drivers and supervisors can also wipe down highly touched surfaces. We've also, you'll see some like yellow plastic chains covering up some seats we're basically social distancing on the buses to where A normal bus will hold 35 or 40 people sitting down. Right now, that'll hold 10. So we got about a 6-foot safe zone or a clear zone between passengers so they can get on the bus with not infringing on somebody else's spaces. And it's been very good for us. The challenge is when the bus gets full, we have to have another bus come in behind it like a ride recovery to pick up the extra passengers so we don't miss anybody out there.
Yeah.
Instead of running Walmart, we're running 10.
Yeah, let's talk about that ride recovery option. Tell me a little more about that.
When a driver gets up to, like, say, a bus stop and they notice they've got too many people at the bus stop, they radio back to dispatch and say, hey, I've got 8 people on the bus and I've got 4 at the stop. I'm going to put 2 on the bus. Can you send a ride recovery? And then the driver will tell the two people at the bus stop, hey, there's going to be a bus and it's going to be here in about 2 minutes. Can you just hold tight?
Wow.
And then the passenger gets up about 2 minutes later and they get on and they go to the same location, just on a different bus, to keep the social distancing.
How's the response to that been?
It's been very good. The passengers love the expanded routes coming back. They were not happy when we reduced service. They understood it. But now that the service is coming back, we're getting more and more passengers every day, so that's good news for us.
Let's talk about the transit center a little bit. The events, there's the different events that people have, events in the gym area, job fairs, things like that. That's obviously, I'm sure, still closed down, but other access to that area, where are we at right now?
So yeah, we aren't having events there like we were until we're probably into phase 4. And of course people just aren't scheduling, but we have reopened the atrium. We did have that closed down for a while. Customer services, the office is open there to help riders, and pretty much everything else is open, just not events are being scheduled at this time.
And that customer service kiosk already was protected. It had already glass coverings and all that.
Yes, yes, we do, and we've now we've marked off the safe distances, so we only allow 2 people at a time in the customer service area, and then we've marked off in our informational kiosk area. We have also marked that off so that there's social distancing practices. So we clean. Our staff down there is cleaning regularly, wiping surfaces, just doing whatever we can to keep things safe and clean and still accessible so people can get the information they need.
And finally, on fares in Mason County, it's no fare. Obviously, but you have extended that into outside of the county. Is that going to continue on, or are we bringing back the fare structure?
Right now, we're still going to continue on through the end of the month, and then we'll reevaluate where we're at in, aspects of still keeping our drivers safe, keeping the passengers safe by using the rear door. We are putting barriers, driver barriers in some of our buses. So if a bus has a barrier for the driver, then we'll reopen the front door for access, and then at that point we'll consider bringing fares back out of county. Well,
transit, of course, is a very integral part to the movement of people throughout any community, and Mason Transit has been working hard for many, many years, making sure folks are able to get where they need to go safely, and it's even been increased so much more here during this pandemic. Very happy to talk with you, Mike and Danette. Good to talk with you too. We'll check in once we move a little bit further down the road and see how else Mason Transit's doing. Okay.
Sounds great. Have a great day.
Take care.
Thank y'all.
Thank you so much for listening to today's Daybreak with Jeff Slakey podcast. Again, I'm so happy and honored you found us and chose to listen. Please subscribe, rate, review, and share this with your circle of influence. It's a collection of some of the interviews, news, and conversation during Daybreak with Jeff Slakey on I-501 News Radio KMAS, weekdays from 6 to 9. Thank you so much again, and talk with you next time.